It's Wednesday night and it's time for the Pastor's Chat. So it's kind of my time to come online. Usually I do it on Wednesdays and usually around 8 o'clock just to talk. It's kind of fun on what's going on in the parish, or sometimes announcements, sometimes just kind of what I'm thinking about or what's going on. So we got a little bit of that going on. And then sometimes you'd ask questions. So there's a chat opportunity. We're streaming here to both the YouTube channel and on Facebook. So those who are kind of chiming in live can at least ask questions and possibly sometimes I can answer them, sometimes not. But I try at least give the opportunity to have a little more access to us as a parish and to myself as your pastor. So there it is. So kind of a different day. We're expecting some snow here. I actually have to go up to Kingston tomorrow. So it's all part of the, going home to see my brothers in town actually in Kingston. So we're going to go down and have dinner at my sister's place. So it's kind of nice to be able to do that. So hopefully that won't be too much messy tomorrow. So that's my plan. Now my near plan is to get down to Kingston. But actually tonight's job is to write a little note. I was doing it for our taxes. It's that kind of time of year again. And so for last year's taxes, we're going to put out your receipts. Thank you again very much for your support of the parish. And I was just writing that. And I kind of did it in 3 stages. It's a preaching thing. You always do things in threes. But the first was, I was just thankful for 3 things. 3 things make me hope. The days are getting longer. Like it's noticeable now. When we're having dinner now, we eat around, about probably a little after 5. It's not exactly bright out, but there's light, right? There's noticeably more light than there was, say, a month ago. Grid, right? My light's getting, it's not exactly balmy, but I'll take it. It's warmer tonight than it has been. So there it is. So it's getting brighter. That's a good thing. There's real talk now that the whole COVID thing, the limitations, the restrictions are on the way out. There's actually a plan for it. This is the first time in 2 years where we're getting from the diocese, and you're kind of hearing it in some of the announcements from the provincial government that things could lift sooner than later, and even happen sooner than they think, and not just some restrictions for a time or lighten up until the next wave, but there's real talk of this actually coming to some kind of an end. That we've already had a few things lift on Monday. In 2 weeks there's going to be some more. It doesn't really affect us as a parish that much. All that's about percentages, right? Because we have to keep social distancing, and to do that in our parish, we really can only run about 35%. So if they say, well, you can go up to 40% or 50%, but keep distancing, it doesn't change much. But there is talk now, by March, which is about when, remember, Lent begins in early March, in March 2nd, I believe. We could be back, probably wearing masks. That would be the one kind of restriction that we may still have for a while. But really, not a numbers issue, not necessarily having to register for Mass, like be able to sit where you like. Like these things we just sort of took for granted up until 2 years ago. So that'd be fantastic. So that's a real thing. So days are getting longer. Fantastic. There could be a real hope here. Now, again, we haven't done it yet. There could be some changes. There's been so many twists and turns in this thing. But this is the first time I've really heard people talking about a plan, not just forward, but kind of out of this. And that's hopeful for me. And financially, we're doing quite well. This is the whole point of communicating back to the people as we write, your tax receipts, that you've been very, very supportive throughout this time. And it's interesting. It's interesting because I think, we're going to have something to work with coming out of this to have programming and maybe do some small renovations that we're working on. It's just very hopeful to me. And so just again, thank you for that. So again, days are getting longer. There does look to be a way through this. And you've been very supportive in difficult times. I'm sure everybody's kind of feeling the pinch one way or the other. And yet our bottom line has been fairly solid. And I'm just feeling confidence with that. So Karen, thank you very much. Good evening. And Alain, good. Hi, Father Rob. That's always good. So I'm just so an early end to lockdowns it shall be. Yeah, this is hopeful. This is hopeful. I think that it's it's been a long pull. It's almost like we can't remember. I have a hard time sometimes. I think 2 years ago, what was it like this time, 2000, what was that, 19? it seems so long ago. And I think, and this is what we've been saying, this is the greatest opportunity for change probably of our generation. So this is the time to do some of that stuff. So when we go back and we do start to open up again, it's still going to be months really, and potentially years before we really kind of get to the fullness of that. To use this opportunity to redo a few things. Thank you, Rebecca. Yeah, chiming in, I think, from Florida. So good. Thank you. Yeah, hoping to do a little bit of family time. I didn't get away last couple of weeks. Well, I'll talk more about that in a minute. Maybe I'll just work into that now. Last week was a bit of a write-off. Not so much it was very productive, but as far as getting things done or doing any kind of family stuff, because we were up at a parishioner's cottage for 5 days really, Monday through Friday, and that's the executive council for the Companions of the Cross. That's something I sit on that council, and so we're doing long-term planning with the companions, and that's also very helpful for me. It's hard. I mean, it's a big organization. There's about, it's close to 40 priests, not quite, maybe 35 or so, and then there's a whole pinch of seminarians, and then we've got, we're working in the United States. We also work in Canada. There's just a lot of stuff. Going on with all that. So to try to plan that, and it's been hard, last few years have been kind of challenging, I think, for leadership style. And so it felt like we were kind of getting ahead a little bit finally. Now, not that we've solved all the problems, that will be, a long time before that ever happens, but we were starting to talk about things like long-term, like where would we want to be? And how do we want to set up our new priests in, as we have so fortunate that we have guys getting close to ordination. Josh Grandmaison, as you say, will be ordained this year. And that's amazing. That's really good news. Like, where do we put Josh? And then how do we set him up so that he'll have a good first 4 or 5 years, and then that, of course, dictates really what happens after that. We have 4 or 5 guys coming up for diaconate ordination, like 3 actually, and then we have new guys going into internship, which is that next almost step towards that. So trying to get all that sorted out, and it's a bit of Tetris because some people are Americans, like States, and then some people are Canadians. Where do they go? There are language issues. If you're down in, certainly in our foundation in Houston, if you don't have Spanish, it's very limited what you can do. So it's just who speaks Spanish, who doesn't. It's all those kinds of things you can only imagine. But finally getting not just reactive. Okay, we've got a problem. How do we solve it? But how do we start to cast a bit of vision for leadership, for consistency and kind of training, all these things that we want to do. So it's all good. It's all good. So that it's just hopeful. It was work. We had a report that was given to us by Jake Kim and Brett Powell. I guess we don't necessarily know those names, but that was good too. That was kind of a review of where we've been at, kind of as a community, and then drawing from that, and then just the council coming together. Then we'd meet for a couple hours in the morning, a couple hours in the afternoon, a couple hours in the evening. Got to get out for a little bit of walk there, a little bit of socializing in between. It's always good to see the guys. Again, we were elected to council and almost immediately went to lockdown. That was just before all the restrictions came into place. So we haven't been together in the same room very often. It sounds crazy in 2 years, but we meet bi-monthly. So we meet twice a month, but it's all online. So it's just really nice to be with the guys and to be able to share ideas and throw it up on the board and kind of, I think when a healthy conversation's going on, it always gives me hope. People are giving their opinions and playing off each other and different gifts coming into play. And it's just neat to see. Because always for me is a sense that, Holy Spirit's at work. And even that part, to pray with the guys in the morning, where in most mornings we said Mass, of course, every day, and we had the Blessed Sacrament there. Father David kind of took care of that part of it. And there's the 4 of us just silent before the Blessed Sacrament, for a good, about part of an hour, usually even before morning prayer. And that sets its tone for the whole day. So there you are. So that's pretty hopeful. So again, thank you. I won't say the name, but just the generosity of our parishioners continues to shine forth. So a little bit about the taxes. Thank you for that and your support of the parish. Days are getting brighter. Restrictions are getting less. There's some long-term planning going on. We're also continuing to plan for our parish. We're doing some reorganization and restructuring. So that's kind of hopeful too. I find it's the same kind of principles to again come out of this strong, and how we come out of this is going to be the foundation, the culture of our parish. Hopefully one of welcoming and innovation, and even some of the technology we've been using. I think we're going to keep using that. We're going to keep streaming. That's not going to stop. How much longer will we do outdoor kind of communion and things? Well, we'll see. As long as there's a need, we'll continue that. Because I really think once these even restrictions lift, there's going to be a couple months here where people are almost going to have to come out of their shell, and say, I can go to a movie. I can go to a restaurant. I can feel comfortable around people that I don't know. And so we may have to keep it going for a little while, but it's not hard to do. And I think actually we all kind of enjoy it actually. So it's been kind of fun. So that will continue. So what else can we talk about? Maybe just a little comment. I was kind of thinking, this is almost like at my peril, Here in Ottawa, we've been kind of dealing with kind of a protest that's going on downtown. It hasn't had a much direct effect on myself. I say I work from home, essentially. I'm here. I know that Father David, he lives in Primrose, and he has to travel really through the downtown core to get to the cathedral, where he was quite busy. There was a few things coming up, and he was a little concerned about it last week and how that's going to play out. But I haven't had a chance to talk to him, see how things are going. And this is always the balance that you have to find. I made a bit of a reference to it in my homily on the weekend, not to be quick to assume that we know the mind of other people, or we know everybody's motives, or even that what's going on at the current moment is all one idea and one approach. There's a multitude of things going on and happening there, and trying to combine that sort of respecting people's right to protest, while also at the same time keeping the common good in mind. And I'm kind of glad I don't have to make that call, because right now I think it's getting more and more difficult to see exactly where that line is. I think the point's been made. I'm not sure what more can be gained, but I'm not part of this. So I'm still very much on the sidelines. So there it is. So we'll have to see where it's all going. So Alain had a question about 3 days of darkness from Padre Pio, the kind of candles you bless the candles today. That's a kind of a notion. It's still that's entirely clear what Padre Pio meant by that, and a lot of people have interpreted sort of his stuff. But yeah, blessed candles are supposed to help in that, but that's still private revelation, and we're not entirely sure. I think you got to trust in the Lord's goodness and grace. That it's people have a tradition of blessed candles. The ones behind me are former pastoral candles from the church that we don't use anymore. So I've just kind of come quietly burning them up here. They make my background thing. So yeah, that's the idea of having blessed candles. We did that blessing today at the feast. It's almost like Father Dennis was mentioning this at dinner. Today's sort of as far as you could really drag Christmas, if anybody wanted to take it a little further. It's sort of like Christmas season ends and ordinary time began 3 weeks ago. But this is sort of the last little kind of sort of echo of Christmas, right? And then we kind of move truly into ordinary time. And that tradition of tomorrow, the blessing of the throats. And that's St. Blaise. And so, yes, we'll be doing that. And even today, this morning, I was a little off my game. Sometimes I didn't realize, I haven't done that in a long time. The blessing takes place almost like the Palm Sunday. You start at the back of the church and then go forward with the procession. I've never actually done that. But no, it was good. Another sign of hope, actually, Net Ministries was at Mass this morning. They brought their staff, because their staff's been working mostly remotely, the staff that works at the office. And so Pierre O'Reilly asked me if it would be possible. And of course, he's welcome to church at any time, but they came as a sort of a body and were able to be together. And it's just nice to have, a whole group of young people in church. So that was not this morning at all. It just happened to be this morning. Those things worked out. So let's lobby to get into... Oh, there we go. Yeah. Get Josh. Yeah, we'll have to see. They're not going to get into this. I'm sorry. I'm just responding to Rebecca's comment about having Josh here at OLPH. I think it would be nice. I'd certainly like to work with Josh. It's complicated, the whole formula. So we'll see. I think Josh will be here at some point. I think we'll see him, but I don't know if it'll be this year. But that's all the hints I'm going to give. We'll see how it all plays. There's many elements to this. The Knights will be able to meet in person. Yeah, Matthew, the Knights will be able to. In fact, that's opening up almost now. There's still some little questions about numbers. I think we're still kind of in between here, only about 10. So that's a little small for a Knights meeting. But I think fairly soon we could have a Knights in person. beeswax. Okay, the nights will be dipped in beeswax. No, that's nothing. That's just an old. It's part of an old tradition with candles that church candles had a certain percentage of beeswax in them. They're all paraffin now. I don't think that's still the same thing, Ellen. Wouldn't worry too much about that. That's like a candles are candles, and to have them blessed and to trust in the Lord, I think is all good. Matthew, are there lots of mention of Father? Pray for us, Father. Oh, that's the founder. Was it McGinty? I'm not sure you might have misspelled that. So McGinty is the founder of he was a very young priest, and he died very young. It's almost makes me a little uncomfortable. But yeah, he was the founder of the Knights of Columbus in Boston. I believe it was in the Boston area. I think he found that a lot of the recent immigrants were coming and they're getting kind of caught up in all these different organizations, and there really wasn't anything for Catholics, that was distinctly Catholic, and that's what he founded that. And I think he did a pretty amazing job. So there we go. All right, well there it is. So there it is. I covered what I want to talk about. Yeah, I guess the last thing. So we talked about thank yous for the support and tax receipts. That's great. And we talked a little bit about the Executive Council and their long-term planning and our long-term planning. We're kind of connected with that. I touched a little bit on the process. I don't have a lot to say on that. It was just my own kind of personal stuff, but it's just, again, I hope that ends peacefully. And again, the message, which I think is in there, doesn't get lost, I think, in the politics of the whole thing, but leave that aside for now. And then just this sort of sense of, the things are going to continue on here as it opens. I'm really hopeful for that. And we could see that happening sooner than later. That would be fantastic. But by and large, the typical week is going to stay the same, probably as we get into, this is what we're thinking too, that this was going to happen. So January into February is pretty status quo, but we'll maintain everything that we got. And by the time we get to Ash Wednesday, which is the 2nd of March, then we can start talking about stuff, where I think at that point we can start to open up. How we do that, I think, is really important. And until then, the typical week, we'll have, Mass every day as we do, at 9 o'clock in the morning. Our weekend schedule will stay the same, the 5 Masses on the weekend. We'll have adoration as we have, it's been going on Tuesday afternoons. I think that's been going well. We'll continue with confessions on Thursdays. That's 3 to 4, 7 to 8. We're starting now. I'd like to do another one of the praise and worship nights if we can. I haven't had a chance to talk about that, but to do a praise and worship night and have again adoration and prayer ministry and confession. Hopefully, doing something like that during the Lent season. Alpha is up and running again. That starts on Tuesday nights. There's still a chance. I think they only have their second one. So if you're really saying, "Oh, what's Alpha?" Like, okay, I don't know where you've been, but you probably could still sneak in if you said that I told you to do it. But anyway, Alpha has started. We have the Called and Gifted. That's going to be starting up soon, and we have 25 people, I think, and we actually have another group joining us. The book study, I think, is going well with St. Finian's, which is all very good. So all those things are continuing on as they have. We won't change too much of that. Drive-by communion will continue. That'll all continue until such time as we really are all able to get into the church and everybody's kind of comfortable coming back in. I can't see any real adjustments, probably till the backside of Easter. And then from there, we can start to say, okay, here we go. So I'll finish on one last little note of hope. This is my last little bit of hope. So each year, as we book a launch date for sailboats, like this is the Marina contacts us and says, when would you like to do that? And I like to get in kind of early because I like to do it on Mondays. This is my day off usually, so I can get down to Kingston and do that. So I booked it. There it is. So April 25th, I think, is going to be launch day. So I got to get the boat ready. So because Easter's a bit late this year, it'll put a little bit of pressure on the back side of that. But that's all right. I'll get the thing in the water. I don't have to do a whole lot of work this year, I don't think. So we'll see. It's always more than you think. But I think it's going to be another one of those just get in the water years. And we'll work on it during the summer. But every time, to the boat show and the beginning of Lent and the booking of the launch, these are all signs that it's not going to be like this. We're still certainly deep in winter, but the signs are there. There is hope. There is hope. We can start talking about it. So anyway, my dear good people, The good Lord continue to watch over, guide, and protect you. Saints and angels intercede for you. May the Blessed Mother wrap you in the mantle of her peace. May you know his goodness and his love. Thank you again for your generosity. May you be doubly and triply blessed. And may Almighty God bless you and keep you this night. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.